let's be honest, it comes down to the team has a chance to win a national championship. It does. It just does. And I think if you're saying anything other than that, you're ignoring the reality of the situation.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today, wrapping up a great guest hosting stint, we have Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Will, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Very humble.
All right, and I am glad I have my administrator here, Robert Abney. Robert, how are you? We're gonna put you to work tonight, sir.
I'm ready. I'm living the dream, man. Had my last game on Saturday. I'm ready to go. Let's talk, man.
Okay. So fans, this is real life, and real life is real. And the first thing we're going to talk about is Alabama basketball. And I'm going to go straight from the notes because this is a serious situation. Alabama's men's basketball coach, Nate Oates, maintains that he believes the university and his program have done the right thing in continuing to allow all-star freshman forward Brandon Miller to play after his name appeared in connection with a January shooting. In addition, in the game yesterday that was played, and by the time this comes out, it will be Thursday, but in the pregame warm-ups, they did what many teams do. They did literally like a police pat-down, which is probably not the best thing to do. And Nate Oates in his press conference said he was drawing up plays or something and really didn't know what happened. This is kind of a weird area for us. Miller's name was mentioned in testimony by investigator Brendan Culpepper as having driven the vehicle containing the gun used in the shooting by his then teammate Darius Miles, who asked Miller to bring him the weapon. Miles, who has since been removed from the Crimson Tide program, and another defendant will face capital murder charges. Miller has not been charged with a crime, and Tuscaloosa's chief deputy district attorney, Paula Whitney, told AL.com that there's nothing we could charge Miller with. So with that, what are your initial thoughts, Robert, with your administrative lens on about how Alabama has handled this situation?
So obviously there's a lot there.
Yes, sir.
My initial response when I saw this was there's no way they can let that kid play.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, and it really comes to, and let's be honest, it comes down to the team has a chance to win a national championship. It does. It just does. And I think if you're saying anything other than that, you're ignoring the reality of the situation. Winning a national championship in basketball is meaningful to any institution that does it. And you're going to do as little as possible to endanger any chance you have to do that. So just saying that, he's innocent until proven guilty. He's not going to be charged with a crime. I don't agree with it. I understand why they did it.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, there's no way that nobody knew that the pregame routine for this kid was, we're going to pat him down. Now, everybody does this. Every game I referee, one of the kids in one of the two starting lineups, if not more than one, gets the fake pat down as part of the pregame introductions. The optics of that are absolutely terrible. Somebody should have said something, if not the kid figuring it out. But again, he's a kid. We as adults have to do better in terms of taking care of that stuff. It's just, it's a really bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't agree with how they handled it, but
And that's 100% fair. And I'm glad I have Will here tonight because Will played for me. And oftentimes he was the creator of whatever was going to go on during pregame. So, Will, what's your take on it? Um, just in its entirety, go in any direction you want to go in, sir.
Obviously, pray for the loss of life. That's the first thing. I think the young woman's name is kind of being thrown under the carpet as the importance of really why we're even talking about this. I think there's not enough of accountability for the adults. I think there's a lot of young 20-year-old guys, 18-year-old guys, 19-year-old guys doing things that are obviously things that grown men should be doing. I mean, I'm 35. I never pass a man a gun for nothing. Much lower have to kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? Where are the coaches? Where is the administrators? Where are the comments? Did you know this was happening? You have the temperature of what's going on. Was anybody else saw that this was going on? Teachers, like anybody. I mean, right now, everybody's looking at these young kids, 18 to 20-year-olds. They're like, how did you do this? And I'm like, well, where are all the adults? Where are the coach? And where's the AD? And where's the, all this stuff? So there's a lot of things that people have to talk about in terms of, how this happened. It's like Robert said, Norwood kind of, harp on it even more. Like, they're just ignoring. They have a chance to win. And unfortunately, that is one of the ugliest things that kind of coming out is like, because if you were 14-14, you'd have suspended the season, all kinds of stuff, and it's a bad look. It's a bad look. I don't think Alabama's going to win anyway, so it's really for naught, and really, so it's just really, we'll see what happens in terms of what comes out in information. Who snitches, who comes out, what kind of information comes out, we'll see. But for now, it's just a really bad look. And even more importantly, it looks bad for the people who supervise the kids and the organizations. That's really where we should have to be looking at.
Yeah. For me, there's two things. There's the optics, and the optics are just that, the optics. But as a social studies teacher, he was not charged. He has rights. Brandon Miller has rights, and if he's not charged and he's not a suspect and he's fully cooperated, and the district attorney says we're not charging him, you cannot not play him. But then there's, man, all of that just happened, and we're talking about basketball and not the family and the child that's going to grow up without a parent. And then I'm angry at Nate Oates, and Will can pretty much guess where I'm going with this. I can't say I knew everything my players are doing. There's no way. Stuff still comes out that I'm like, did that happen? But I knew enough of, hey, during warmups, we're going to do this, and you've got some latitude, but we ain't going to embarrass us. In terms of accountability, Will played with a tight-knit group that was so tight knit that in one situation, and I do have permission to talk about it, there was a party that Will and his teammates were en route to that got out of control, and word got around not to come. That's how much they cared about each other to say, I'm already in trouble. I'm not adding you guys to this trouble. So then when I hear that a teammate texts and says, could you bring me a gun? I'm paused by that because I've lived the opposite experience. We run away from trouble, not to it. There were situations when I was a player in the Stone Age where we're out at a party and one of our team captains said, we're leaving. We didn't ask questions until later, but we're like, oh, if we're leaving, we're leaving. But it better be good. But there was trust that, hey, I know something's not right. And there's just something lost. And Robert, I'm not trying to be old man, get off my lawn. But when a coach says I'm drawing up plays and I'm not paying attention, I was an assistant coach at Hood College for 8 years. I saw every fake dance, every half step, every whatever, and I would have shot a look and ixnay. So somebody's got to know something, and that really, really caused me pause on that. And yeah,
Hey,
folks, go ahead.
I'm by
Bobby.
far the most get off my lawn of anybody who ever comes on this podcast. I'll own that right now. and I mean, and I agree with you. I mean, the worst part of this to me was the head coach and how he handled it. I
Yeah.
mean, I just, just the way he handled the whole thing, having to backtrack and issue another statement.
Wrong place, wrong time. Are you serious?
I mean, like, somebody died.
Yeah.
And like you all said, somebody's, that child is going to grow up without a parent. And you say wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Really?
Yeah.
We can't do better than that.
Yeah.
We can't do better than that. And
Uh,
the bottom line is we have better than that.
Yeah.
We have to, if we're going to give these kids an opportunity to play and take advantage of all the opportunities that we're providing them, we have to do a better job of making sure that we are providing them an environment that is safe, that they know, where they know what's right and wrong. And if they don't know, somebody else does, and will make sure they steer them the right direction. And I hear people all the time say, well, that's not the job of schools. That's not what we should have to do. And I will maintain until my dying day as an educator, we teach kids to write, we teach kids to read, we teach kids to do math. We have to teach kids how to behave also.
I think that's a good place to end it, and we'll be right back on the Coaches Podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA SAVE Project Academic Monitoring Service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress, as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Ad Coaches Podcast. And much to the chagrin of my co-host, we will not do coaches on the hot seat. We will go to segment 2 and talk NIL sanctions. Finally, so the NCAA issued its first sanctions in a case related to name, image, and likeness opportunities for college athletes, dinging the Miami women's basketball program with a year's probation and other minor penalties. The case involves several prominent figures in the NIL marketplace. So I'm going to give you some of the particulars, fellas, and then let you go in any direction. First of all, let's reintroduce John Ruiz. John Ruiz is a billionaire, if I'm not mistaken, or he's got a lot of money. He signed over 100 Miami Hurricane athletes to NIL deals to promote his company, Life Wallet. Will, do you use Life Wallet, by the way?
I don't think I.
Okay. His conversations and deals with athletes who have transferred to Miami have come under NCAA scrutiny. Ruiz, who was not sanctioned or disassociated from the school as a result of this case, told ESPN that the NCAA has no right to stop him from contacting any parties. And I quote, "It has little to no substance, no effect on me at all of these sanctions. It's mostly focused on the coach, and it's unfortunate, but it doesn't affect me or my business. If it did, I'd be suing the NCAA, and it wouldn't be a good day for them. So, speaking of the coach, let's talk about Miami's coach, Katie Meyer. Miami's coach, Katie Meyer, previously served a school-imposed 3-game suspension at the start of the season related to this case. The NCAA said Meyer exchanged text messages with Ruiz saying she would make sure the Cavender twins knew who he was after he tried to arrange a meeting with them. She said, and I quote, "For over 30 years, I've led my program with integrity and have been a collaborative partner with the NCAA. Collegiate athletics is in a transformation, and any inadvertent mistake I made was prior to a full understanding." So, before we talk about the NCAA and the Twins, Will, what do you think about the case? You got John Ruiz and the coach.
I mean, there's no,
You do compliance, sir. That's why I went to you first.
yeah, and like I said, if you're looking at compliance and you're looking at policy, he never did anything wrong. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't do something wrong. It means that, again, NIL was too big to just push it out without any sort of policy and regulations and things like that. I mean, that should be, if I'm looking up the NIL policy and I'm saying, what can we allow, what we can't allow? What John Ruiz seems like it was illegal, shouldn't be allowed. It's hard for them to now rein it in and say, okay, well, now we're saying that, this is wrong but you have to create, and you have to create the culture that you want to do. You say, we're going to do NIL, we're going to do NIL. These are the rules. But if you don't tell people the rules, then they're going to do whatever. And in my opinion, I think what he's doing is wrong, but it's also not illegal. And for them to be kind of like upset, it's kind of like, well, how many other deals are they doing that you have to look at on this going wrong? Or like, it's poor policy by NIL and NCAA, because they're not trying to backtrack now and take back what they've already given people, and they've already understand it. They're like, you're a lawyer, you have lawyers too. So it's going to get worse. It's going to get more and more, court cases, things like that, because the regulations, the rules are not in place. They're not structured.
All right, so Robert, I'm going to tell you about the NCAA and the Twins themselves, keeping your administrator hat on. So the NCAA, the fact that Ruiz was not punished as a part of the negotiated settlement between the NCAA and the U troubled the panel assembled to approve the sanctions. And a panelist was quoted as saying, quote, "Boosters are involved with prospects and student athletes in ways the NCAA membership have never seen or encountered. In a way, addressing impermissible booster conduct is critical, and the disassociation penalty presents an effective penalty available to the Committee of Infractions." And the Twins, Robert, who have more than 3 million followers on social media, have been among the most prominent college athletes cashing in on their online fame. So, according to Ruiz, here's what happened. He hosted the Twins and their parents for dinner at his house after the former Fresno State basketball players decided to attend Miami. The problem was, since 2021, a growing number of college sports administrators and coaches have voiced complaints, and due to state laws that protect NIL activities, there's not much you can do. So, Robert, with all of this information, what are your thoughts on how all of this was handled, sir?
All of this, in my opinion, all of this are unintended consequences from the NCAA trying to hold the line about not paying athletes. Because if the NCAA, when the O'Bannon lawsuit started, when was that? I mean, 20 years ago.
It's in the dissertation, so I got to go look it up. I don't know, I have 0.5
20 years ago, maybe longer. Had they started making plans for this is the system we're going to create, this is how it's going to work, these are the rules that are in place, this is how we're going to enforce the rules. Had they done all of that, then none of this would be happening, because right now what they're trying to do is they're basically trying to make up the rules as they go along, and we all know how that goes.
Well, moving forward, guys, Ruiz said he does not intend to change the way he uses college athletes as endorsers for his business, and noted that he did not think any attempt by the NCAA to prevent him from conducting his business would stand up in any lawsuit.
Why should he? Why should he do anything differently?
You didn't do anything illegal.
Why should not only he, why should anybody do anything differently? Is what, like Will just said, is what they're doing, is that illegal? Are they breaking a law?
Well, this should be interesting. We will continue to follow it. And when we get back, we're going to do our conference preview and we'll talk about the week ahead. And since Mike's not here, I can say things like quad 1 win, quad 2 win, and so forth and so on. We'll be right back on the Ad Coaches Podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Yacht Coaches Podcast, to segment 3. Let's get to the week ahead and prepare for conference tournaments. The net rankings: Houston's number 1, Alabama's number 2, UCLA is number 3. Did they pull that game out against Colorado today? Did anybody know? Tennessee is number 4, and Purdue, with the worst guards in the country, are number 5. How do you lose with that dude? Okay, I'm not understanding. St. Mary's is the highest ranked mid-major as of this week. They're ranked 7th. Gonzaga's ranked 10th. I think next week that might flip. San Diego State is 16th. In the net rankings, Florida Atlantic is 19th and Boise State is 23rd. You better hope they win their tournaments, folks, or some of your favorites, North Carolina, will get their feelings hurt come tournament selection day. Teams to watch: Vermont is still cooking. Go John Becker, longtime friend of ours. Houston's winning. Eastern Washington's on fire. They've won over 10 straight. Hofstra, Iona. Is Rick Pitino ready for another job? I'm just asking. Toledo. Howard's on fire, Will. All right, go Bison. Okay. Drake, Bradley, and Oral Roberts. So for the men's side, conference tournaments start this week. We're just going to give you everybody's conference tournament dates. And fellas, as we do it, if you have any interest, let me know. Robert, the AAC tournaments in Fort Worth, Texas, March 9th through 12th. Will you be attending?
Possibly. I got a lot of moving parts right now. I'm going to a tournament somewhere, I can tell you that.
All right. The ACC's in Greensboro, March 7th through 11th. The America East is on campus sites, March 4th, 7th, and 11th. The Atlantic 10th in Brooklyn. And we will have our OCP team rep, Fowler and Campbell, in the house. Coach can't go, but that's okay. The Atlantic Sun will be on campus sites. That's always a bummer. I want to have like a central location. Anyway, the Big East tournament is in New York, March 8th through 11th. The Big Sky is in Boise, Idaho. Have not been to Boise. Robert, have you been to Boise?
I have not been to Boise, but I cannot think of a worse place for a tournament other than home sites.
Okay. Will, I don't think you've been to Boise, have you?
I've met the first person ever from Idaho this year. So
Okay. All right. So the Big South will be in Charlotte, March 1st, 3rd, and 5th. So that's coming up very shortly. The Big 10 will be in Chi-Town. The Big 12 will be in Kansas City. Both of them will be starting on March 8th. The Big West will be in Henderson, Nevada, March 7th, 9th, and 11th. I've heard nice things about Henderson, Robert. Do you have any things about Henderson there?
I actually went to that arena last year. They have a really nice restaurant and brew pub attached to the arena. Had a great dinner. Went and watched a couple Big West tournament games.
Okay, so the Colonial will be in Washington, D.C., March 3rd through 7th. Conference USA is in Frisco, Texas. A lot of things going on in Frisco. The Frisco Bowl, the Frisco this. What's Frisco near, Robert?
Frisco is just north of Dallas, Fort Worth.
Okay, all right. I know that.
That's where the Dallas Cowboys. That's where their facilities are.
All right. The Horizon will be in Indianapolis, and that starts February 28th. The Ivy League will be in Princeton, New Jersey, March 11th and 12th. The MAC, the MAAC, will be in Atlantic City. Does anybody still go to Atlantic City, Will?
my
Anybody
boy,
still go?
my boy goes out there, so he says
All
it's a good time too.
All right. The traditional MAC will be in Cleveland. The MEAC will be in Norfolk. I believe they're at the Scope. The Missouri Valley will be in St. Louis, March 2nd through the 5th. Mountain West will be in Vegas, March 8th through 11th. The Northeast does it on campus sites. Again, that's boring. Ohio Valley will be in Evansville, Indiana. Pac-12 will be in Las Vegas. The Patriot will do it on campus sites starting February 28th. SEC will be in Nashville. Southern will be in Asheville, North Carolina. That's this week. The Southland will be in Lake Charles, Louisiana. The Summit will be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. No, thank you. The Sun Belt will be in Pensacola. I've always heard
I think
Pensacola's
Sioux
nice.
Falls is worse than Boise.
Close.
The SWAC will be in Birmingham. The WAC will be in Las Vegas. Go Lopes! Go Lopes! I am a member of the Grand Canyon University family. And the West Coast Conference will be in Las Vegas. Man, you can get some good ball in Vegas. All right.
So last year, my brother and I went to Vegas and we were there Sunday through Saturday. We saw 5 different conference tournaments, 20 different games.
And what is that place I want to stay at, Will? Starts with an O. It's like the O or something. And it's got the largest sports book. It's like on Fremont Street. But
It's
Oria or something like that.
no. Circa.
Circle, whatever it is, I want to stay there. Went there the last time.
That place is legit.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
I think I sent the fellas a picture from there and said, we got to do something. Speaking of doing something, women's tournament. Man, the net rankings are top heavy. South Carolina's 1, UConn's 2, Indiana's 3, Stanford's 4. And I forgot who's 5th because I had Indiana twice, and it might be Utah right now. Might be Utah.
Iowa did beat Indiana tonight.
Iowa did beat Indiana. Heck of a buzzer beater. The highest ranked mid majors. Good luck to all of the mid majors in the women's tournament because you ain't gonna last long.
Yeah.
Middle Tennessee State is 30th. Columbia is 35th. South Dakota State is 36. Gonzaga's 44 and Princeton's 45. A lot of women's teams have won at least 8 in a row. Here's the run. Liberty, Florida Gulf Coast, Vermont, UMass, Gardner-Webb. Indiana just lost, right? Or Indiana. Okay. Indiana just lost. Long Beach State, Green Bay, Princeton, Iona men and women on hot streaks. Toledo, Belmont, UNLV, Merrimack, Little Rock, because they don't call it Arkansas Little Rock anymore. They just call it Little Rock. Boston University, South Carolina, Jackson State, and South Dakota State. And let's get with the women's tournaments. The AAC's in Fort Worth. ACC's in Greenbelt. I'm sorry, Greensboro. I'm home. The America East is on campus sites. The Atlantic 10 will be in Wilmington, Delaware. Sun's on campus sites. The Big East is at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. The Big Sky's in Boise. The Big South's in Charlotte. The Big Ten is in Minneapolis. Shout out Kelly. It's snowing there for some reason. That's why I can't stay there, sir. The Big 12 will be in Kansas City. The Big West will be in Henderson. The Colonial will be at Towson. And Towson's got a new facility, Will. So you got to check that out when you get a chance.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get up there.
Conference USA is in Frisco, Texas. The Horizon is on campus sites. And then they transition to Indianapolis. Ivy League's in Princeton, New Jersey. The MAC's in Atlantic City, MAAC. The traditional MAC is in Cleveland. The MEAC's in Norfolk. Missouri Valley is in Moline, Illinois. Robert, have you been to Moline, Illinois? Because I know Will has.
I don't know where that is.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's around Chicago. I have no idea.
Yeah, let's go with that. Mountain West is in Vegas. Northeast Conference is on campus sites. Ohio Valley is in Evansville, Illinois. Indiana, excuse me. I don't know why I got the Illinois thing. Pac-12's in Vegas. Patriots on campus sites. The SEC is in Greenville, South Carolina. Okay. Southern is in Asheville, so the men and women are in the same spot. Southland's in Lake Charles. Summit's in Sioux Falls. Sunbelt's in Pensacola. Okay, a lot of common locations. SWAC's in Birmingham. WAC's in Vegas. And the West Coast is in Vegas. So with that, any parting shots? Will, are we betting on conference tournaments or are we going to just wait for the big dance?
I'm putting money. Oh, I already put money on Kansas to win the whole thing, running back to back. I think they have the experience. I think they have the athletes. I think there's really nobody in there that you should be scared of. Give me Kansas.
And I'll let you have it. Okay. Robert, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Man, I'll tell you right. I've seen a lot of Big 12. Being in Texas, I have seen a ton of Big 12 basketball, and it is a freaking battle every
night.
Right.
And I mean, and you know, I'm interested to see how that's going to play out because these teams play such good competition every night. So they're used to it, but I can't help but think that it's going to wear some of them down. And I think, I mean, Kansas has a legit shot to win 6 games. I don't think they can. I think that, I mean, physically, they are one of the less physical teams in the Big 12. They're not very big. They're not very strong comparatively. I would take TCU. I would take Baylor. I would take Houston before taking Kansas to win it all.
Should be interesting, fellas. Should be interesting. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, and my guest hosts who've done a great job this week, thank you, gentlemen, for saving the day. I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the iCoaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The iCoaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The iCoaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the iCoaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the iCoaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at iCoaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.